Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this week's episode, we talk about weddings, international weddings. I am from Serbia, my husband is from Spain. We got married in Serbia and we got quite a bit of international guests, mostly Spanish. Here in this video, I would like to share with you some parts of our Serbian wedding or international weddings, which traditions we kept, which we adapted, what we decided to do differently, and stay with me throughout this episode. And before I continue, I would really like to remind you to please subscribe. It means a lot to small creators like myself. And first thing, we kept in mind the whole time it was an international wedding. This shaped all of our decisions. To explain, we had around 100 guests, of which around 30 were from outside of Serbia. As I said, mostly his family and some friends from Spain, but both of us, we also had some international friends. And most of them we met during our time in Austria, because we met in Austria. And these people are not, almost none of them is Austrian. They're all from all over the places. So it was a quite international crowd. And some of the things that we did to adjust our wedding to this international crowd was that we had a civil wedding ceremony in two languages. One was Serbian, the other one was Spanish, which still doesn't mean that everyone could understand, but was close. Second, we hired a band. This is a very customary in Serbia, but what I want to say is that we hired a band that was playing some foreign songs, because in Serbia at the weddings usually they play Serbian music. Yes, and one more thing is that we chose activities and we decided to show them the traditions that are easy to understand, that I feel related and connected with, and we do not want to make things too complicated. You will see what I mean shortly. And the first thing is that we decided to keep everything at one place. This means that in Serbia, it's not rarely that happens that the wedding day is long and things happen at several places. So let's say the full content would be that some guests gather at the groom's house, then they go to the bride's family house, and then when they meet, they go for the church ceremony, then they go for the civil ceremony, which can be done at two places. Well, not two places, anywhere basically, but let's say most common would be either to go to this public office to get married, and the other option is that this civil servant, I think it's called civil servant, a person who is marrying people, comes to the place of the reception where the restaurant and the lunch and the party is going to be. And at the end, of course, there is a lunch and then the party. And we decided to skip some parts and to keep everything at the same place. Me and my husband, we met in front of the restaurant. The civil ceremony was at the restaurant. And this gave me some peace of mind, because I try to avoid that my guests have to have many coordinates in their phone, that they might get lost, that they cannot find a parking spot. So the easiest way was to simply do everything at one place. There was no purchasing of the bride. And let's try to first explain in a simple way this custom. It originates from long time ago, and it's from the times when most people were working on their lands, in the agriculture, like they were farmers. The idea of the purchasing of the bride, basically the groom is paying to the bride's family. Usually it's the person who is the seller is the brother of the bride. The symbolic behind it is that the primary family of the bride is losing one worker on the land, the farm. So the groom is actually purchasing that worker basically for his family. And of course, nowadays, this custom, the background of this custom, of course, it's lost its meaning. It's not really done for these reasons anymore. Many people just see it as a fun, as a thing to do, so that the groom and the bride, that there is a little bit of anticipation moment when the groom and the bride are meeting, and people see it as a lot of fun, of course. But I still decided not to do it because it just didn't feel right to me. I kind of felt that I would kind of follow a custom and symbolic in which women is seen a little bit like a thing to buy. And also, I think for for our international guests, this would be still bit confusing, difficult to explain to them what it is about, and it was just the best thing probably for everyone to skip it. Next thing, there was no religious ceremony. The dominant religion in Serbia is Orthodox Christian, and the dominant church is the Serbian Orthodox Church. I, as a child, was baptized in this church. Even though in Serbia it's possible to get married if you belong to different churches, it's possible that you get married in one church. We decided to skip this custom because I don't feel really spiritually related to the church in which I was baptized. And another reason, among others, again, was that we did not want to complicate it for guests. They would not be able really to follow the ceremony. So yes, it felt the best to just skip it. And now we are getting to the civil ceremony part, and one specific part of it is that I did not change my surname. And I first, of course, need to explain again the background. In Serbia, both bride and groom are allowed that at the wedding they change their surnames. Of course, groom is never doing that. And bride, in great majority of the cases, are taking their husband's surname. Arguments in favor of this are that way, once you have children, the whole family is going to have the same family name. The other option is that a woman adds her husband's name to her family name, to her original family name. Some women are doing this, not many. I would say there are more than before, but still this is seen with quite a bit disapproval among people in Serbia. And I don't know why there is such a huge fuss about the woman's decision, what she's going to do at the wedding, if she's going to take her husband's name or not, but there is still quite some. And I decided not to do it for several reasons. Some of them were practical reasons. I did not want to have to change my documents, especially because I live in Spain. To explain to Spanish administration, this would be very complicated, especially because in Spain, all Spanish, they have two surnames. They get one from their father, in most cases, and another one from their mothers, and they have it throughout their life, both women and men. And for them, if you see two persons with the same last name, both surnames, your first thought is that these two people are siblings, not a husband and wife. And it would be just really difficult to explain here to the administration what happened with my name and why I have my husband's last name. And I also worked in research for many years. I have publications. The last reason was one quite personal. I, long time ago, decided that I will not change my last name, even before I met my husband, even before I knew that I would marry a Spanish or live in Spain. Next, no smoking indoors. And some of you might ask, what is the thing about this? But I have to explain that in Serbia, it's still allowed, and this is basically the default mode. It's still allowed to smoke in restaurants and bars and at celebrations like weddings. And the consequence of this is that when you come back from one of the ceremonies like this, you have your clothes stink, you have to take it out, your hair stink, and you can smell it throughout the night. And this is, of course, especially annoying to people who are not used to smoke or who are not smokers. And of course, another problem is that when you are at the ceremony or the celebration in general, you can smell the smoke. And of course, it's quite unpleasant. Our guests from outside of Serbia, they're already used to not smoking inside, and they would probably be bothered by the smell of smoke. And I kind of made this assessment that many of my Serbian friends and relatives are not smokers. I would say above average number compared to Serbian average numbers. So we decided just to ask the people who were, I'm pretty sure, in minority, in a great minority, to go outside. And we had actually quite a bit of resistance from the manager, who said that there were a couple of international weddings before, and they did not work out. They say international wedding. I mean, like one of the wedding couple was from outside of Serbia, and the other one from Serbia. And then there were many guests from Serbia, of course, and they were protesting. They were not respecting these requests from the couple, and they eventually just simply did not work out. That it was just a lot of argument, tension, and that it just was all for nothing. I have to say that our guests were not like this. They respected our requests, and I'm really grateful for this. Next, we hired a folklore group. So it is not unusual that somewhere at the half of the wedding day, I say half, let's say like around 7 p.m., the main band is making a break, and then the groom and the bride, they hire some other type of entertainment, some other musician, to play a little bit different type of music or some dance. And it's not very customary, but it's happening, of course, that some people hire a folklore group. I think this is usually happening at the international weddings like ours. This folklore group, they were dancing like for 15 minutes, and then they were inviting all the other guests to dance this national dance column, and they were showing them how to do it. And it was a really great fun, because I think everyone actually enjoyed to see these dances, and then they all enjoyed to dance. Basically, this was a moment when almost all of our guests were on their feet and dancing together. So it was really wonderful, and it was really one of the highlights of the wedding. Some more traditions that we decided to keep. One of them is, of course, cutting of the wedding cake. This is a fun tradition. I don't see any problem with that. And it's also a customary thing to do in many countries. In Spain, the groom and the bride, they cut the wedding cake. They take one slice for them. They eat it, and then the rest of the cake is shared the guests. Another one was that I threw a wedding bouquet to my female guests. So this was one of the traditions. I was thinking whether to do it or not. The idea is that all unmarried friends and women at the wedding, basically, they gather, so that when the bride is throwing her wedding bouquet, they try to catch it. And the one who catches it is the next one to get married. And I also see this custom a little bit like, okay, this is for women, because for women is really important to get married. That's why I was not really sure about it, but we decided to see it as a fun. I tried to ignore some parts of the symbolic for doing that. And so this was it for this episode. So to share some closing thoughts, organizing an international wedding is very complicated. There is a lot of logistics involved. There is a lot of things to think about, but weddings are also generally like that. I would really like to hear your opinions now. Do you have similar experiences? Share in the comments. Also, like, subscribe. This really means a lot to small creators like myself. And check out my other social accounts. They are available in the description. And thank you for watching. Until the next time. Bye.